Nigerians una never hear, una dey still dey sleep. Even the people wey be say na dem dey talk wetin dey happen for Nigeria, dem no fit tell you how many members of people wey be say dey for inside kirikiri. The woman say even the president wey enter, he say the man no even know how many people wey dey for inside. He say people wey be say dey for inside kirikiri, he say they are too much. And the most painful part is that these people wey dey for inside kirikiri, no be all of them do bad thing. Some people dem be suspects, some people they really do, and some people na because of food wey they want eat for their mouth, wey they go thief. Una know say that they see thief, biological thief. That one thief dey for blood. They see thief wey be say e dey hungry. Abeg, Muna look this video and Muna know the kind pain where people they pass through for Nigeria, and how long Nigeria go like this. Then be the question of the day. How long?
Compounded by the high number of inmates awaiting trial, an officer of the Nigeria Correctional Service gives a breakdown of the number of persons held in correctional facilities as at Tuesday, 9th May 2023.
What we have as at yesterday was 75,436 inmates nationwide. Out of this, you can imagine about 52,446 all are awaiting trial persons. And out of this, still more than 70% are awaiting trial who has overstayed. Some has overstayed, like over 2,000 has overstayed more than 10 years in custody without getting their trial.
Executive Director, Prison Rehabilitation and Welfare Action, laments the abuse of power by various security agencies detaining people indiscriminately.
But I also want you to also note that we have problems not just in the Nigerian Correctional Service. There are today about 18 other institutions that can detain people. Some of them are in this room here. For the question therefore, just like the Correctional Service can come in and tell you their statistics, can we say that of the others? Is there any one person in this country, Nigeria, who can tell us now, anybody, including the president, including the minister, can tell us how many persons are in detention in Nigeria? Do you know that nobody knows?
Another reason highlighted for prison congestion is juvenile detention.
From our field missions to correctional centers, we have, like you had today, more than 80% of children in detention are there on pre-trial status. That is to say, they have not concluded their case, they are just there for reason of mere allegations that they have done something. And some of them are there for non-violent offenses like stealing, attempted stealing, and all that. So for us, this is an opportune moment, very strategic for Nigeria, to look at the issue of children deprived of their liberty, because the best place for children to be is home.
It is noteworthy that the current state of affairs persists despite series of reforms to transform the correctional service from a punitive to a rehabilitation center. These reforms include the 2019 Nigerian Correctional Service Act that changed the Nigeria prisons to the Nigeria Correctional Service. Recommendations from the conference will be passed to policymakers for consideration. Ferdinand Duroha, Arise News.
Joining us now from our Abuja studio is Ogechi Ogu, a lawyer and Deputy Director, Prisoners Rehabilitation and Welfare Action Power. Good morning and welcome to the morning show.
Good morning and thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for joining us. Well, from the intro by Ayo, it's pretty much clear that the problem of overpopulation of Nigerian prisons is something that we need to deal with. By the conference that you had in Abuja, if you could share with us a statement of the problem and some of the resolutions, some of the recommendations made at the end of that meeting to guide government in different directions.
Okay, thank you so much, and I wish to appreciate Arise TV for this opportunity because it's coming quite in good time. There's new government in place, and every constituency is trying to ensure that their issues are factored in. So this is a huge opportunity for the justice sector and especially the correctional service to bring forth the issues that need be attended to. And I keep imagining what the states are doing, the federal government, in terms of their manifesto, what they have in place for the justice sector. Now, the conference, as you have asked, targeted at the congestion of correctional centers. As you can see from the report given by Ferdinand, is a clear news, is no news now, nothing new in terms of statistics regarding the issues around congestion in correctional centers. And it is important that we equally point out the fact that over 4 decades now, several years now, that many initiatives have been put in place to address these challenges. We have policies made, we have laws made, initiatives, legislative interventions. So many things have been done in this respect. And as we speak, often you see the initiatives hitting the issues, addressing it, but momentarily that will come and go again, and we'll get back to where we were in terms of correctional centers, congestion. So I think the conference that was held was targeted at getting all the stakeholders involved. Stakeholders in the justice sector were all represented at that conference, and it was a discussion around how do we get around this problem and have a sustainable solution. And one clear thing that is obvious is that before you talk about congestion, there is always inflow. Now, the inflow is the major issue, and we have, from the conference, it is clear, so many points that were raised include the fact that apart from the fact that innovations have been brought by way of laws, you still see that by practice, these things are still going on. So most of the recommendations are targeted at getting the different stakeholders, different agencies of the criminal justice system to do their part, perform their own responsibilities, because the agency of the criminal justice system is like a chain. And once any of the chains breaks, you find out that things will just start deteriorating and things won't work out well. So the whole essence is to say every agency of the criminal justice system has a role to play. And that role must be played with all sincerity of purpose if things will work out. Then the issue around arrest, incessant arrest and detention for every form and manner of offense, that is where that is actually the beginning of the problem and speaks to the issue of inflow. It is not every offender that is a risk to the society. And generally speaking, if you take the United Nations Convention, United Nations Standard Minimum Rules on non-custodial measures, one of the things Article 8 talks about is the fact that the only reason, first of all, the convention, the Standard Minimum Rules says that detention should be a measure of last resort, especially pre-trial detention. Now, detention generally should be for the purpose of safety and security of our society. Now, when somebody that has committed one or alleged to have committed an offense, one offense or the other, is seen not to be a risk to the society, there is no reason whatsoever why that person should be put in custody. But one clear thing that has come to our knowledge, which I think looking forward Nigeria should be considering, is the fact that we utilize the justice sector, especially the criminal justice sector, to address every challenge. We use it to address our social and economic challenge. And that is a huge error. And this is showing with what is happening in the correctional centers. Look at, if you check the statistics that was given by the correctional center, it talks about 82 correctional centers across the federation that are congested. It's not like every correctional center is congested, but check the details of those correctional centers. They are in the urban areas.
Okay.
Yes, they are in the urban areas. And some of them, when you take the overall statistics, it's talking about 69% of awaiting trial persons. But there are actually custodial centers that have over 80 persons awaiting trial. And the unfortunate thing is that we have laws in place already to deal with these issues. And the questions we will be asking ourselves is, why are the laws not working? The correctional service, as we speak today, has two major services: custodial service and non-custodial service. So expectation is that some people should be diverted to the non-custodial service. And we are asking, why is it not happening as much as it should? And that is where many other factors come in. Factors around making laws and not providing making budgetary provision for their implementation. And again, having this, in terms of attitude of implementers of the law, you have a law in place that is progressive, that is targeted at solving the problem of the nation. And you are still maybe having some attitudes towards utilizing that law. So the conference targeted at, getting stakeholders to be forward-looking, to be creative, and to align themselves with the recent, progress that has been made within the Nigerian criminal justice system.
All right, Ms. Ogo.
In terms of new laws.
Ms. Ogo, just to ask to throw more light on one of the things you've mentioned, and reading the reports or the communique post the conference, you highlighted some key recommendations, some proposals, some strongly recommended, one of which, a number of them very key, but one of which you talked about the challenge we have with database. Having a database of people, whether awaiting trial, in correctional centers, and that we should have, what's the situation on ground? And because like you mentioned, we have a new administration, it's an opportunity for you to clearly define some of the quick wins for this administration. We have a database challenge. Then you also talk about the pro bono arrangement, that we don't have enough of that. What one would assume is that Nigeria is quite a benevolent nation, if I put it that way. And so we see lawyers who go into correctional services to offer their services free of charge. But in your findings, you note that we don't have enough to meet the needs that we currently have. How can we shore that up? What can be done to improve that?
Okay, thank you so much. Regarding the very first question you asked, the issue around database of persons in detention has always been there on the front burner. In fact, in the last two periodic reviews of Nigeria, it has always come up, as a recommendation to Nigeria to have, number one, unfettered access to places of detention, and at the same time have registers of persons in detention. This addresses so many challenges. Many people are of the view that given the population of Nigeria, that the number of persons that are in detention is quite small, considering, the level of criminal activities and the population of the country. But the point is that each time you see data, most of the data we have in place are from the correctional service and not from the over 18 other detention centers we have across the country. So what we are saying is that as arresting agencies, it is important for compliance with what the law says. You cannot detain somebody without keeping records of that person. And that is what causes disappearances and the rest of them. It equally causes, makes it difficult to checkmate issues of torture and the rest of them. So this is quite critical, and this is a time to rise up. I know that the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, as we speak, has engaged with security institutions. But this should be a matter that should be on the table, because it is out there that we are challenged around there. Now, regarding the case of pro bono, Prawa has in the past taken up issue of pro bono services and have for several years worked, in partnership with Legal Aid Council of Nigeria to enhance their capacity to provide legal services to indigent Nigerians. But the point is that the Legal Aid Council of Nigeria is willing to do this work, but they are incapacitated in terms of human and material resources. For the whole federation, as at the last time I took record of that, the population of lawyers with the Legal Aid Council of Nigeria is not over 250. And you can imagine the population of Nigerians that require the services of these pro bono lawyers, knowing fully well that in this country, especially criminal laws are skewed against the poor in the society, those that cannot afford legal representation. So Prawa in the past had done something around that by bringing together, midwifing a relationship, an MOU between the Legal Aid Council of Nigeria and the Nigerian Bar Association, because Nigerian Bar Association has lawyers all over the federation. In every community you must find a lawyer, so that they can work together to provide these services to the people. But we are yet to see this coming up the way it should. But we are not relenting. We are still engaged